Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier here with Mike's Instant Movie Review. American Society of Historical, I think I screwed it up. American Society of Magical Negroes. Their title, not mine. This movie is getting panned left and right. Something about this movie was calling to me that I wanted to see it. I thought the trailer was interesting. I'm a fan of David Allen Greer. He hasn't been featured in featured films as much as I would have liked. And guess what? I like this movie. So critics be damned, audiences be damned, metrics be damned, everyone be damned. I enjoyed this film, okay? So should you go see it? Should you go not? Well, I think you should. There's no gore. There's no nudity. It's wise comedy. Some might say, dare I say, dark comedy or black comedy, perhaps, but I don't know. I just thought it was funny. And what's the movie all about? Well, first of all, what is the magical Negro? It's a term that I became acquainted with in my studies maybe 15 years ago. And when I first heard about it, I think I read some article that was using this term and explaining what it all meant. And it was kind of referring to characters, for instance, like in the book. And then I didn't read the book, okay? But the film, The Legend of Bagger Vance, I did see the film. Basically, Will Smith, I think this is around maybe 1998. In this movie, Will Smith plays a caddy to, I believe, the Bagger Vance was played by Matt Damon. I believe Bagger Dance was the golfer and the caddy was someone else. Or maybe I got that flipped. Maybe Will Smith's character was Bagger Dance. But in any event, the caddy is kind of like this spiritual buddy that's helping the main guy, white guy with this problem, which I think was just his fucking golf stroke, okay? You might say, dare I say, Jim in Huckleberry. Is it Huck Finn and Jim, or is it Tom Sawyer? I think Jim appears with both of those assholes, but the one where they go down the river, I think that's Huck, like that term. I'll be your Huckleberry. So I think Jim might be in that context. To an extent, perhaps, the John Coffey character, Michael Clark Duncan, I think he won an Oscar for that in The Green Mile. You might say that's... So basically these characters that are kind of somehow closer to gods, closer to the angels of an African-American descent, and... oftentimes these characters are there to give some type of spiritual insight to the white character in trouble, in peril. The white character that needs to figure some shit out, can't do it on their own, so they bring in the spiritual Negro, or the magical Negro in this case. And you might say the reverse of this is the white savior character, which other films have been accused of having. There was one recently, I think Dune 2, there's some, claims that this is a white savior complex film. Now, at some point you have to say, and there is a point where you say, well, gee whiz, if every fucking character is going to be classified by the color of their skin, their pigmentation, the melatonin in their skin color, how can we have any characters? You know what I mean? If every goddamn character is just going to be reduced to some type of classification, then how are you going to write anything? Well, that's a good point. See, I'm full of good points. However, there does seem, if you go through the catalog of popular media, there does just seem to be a disproportionate amount of characters that have like this, spiritual or magical essence. And hence we have this term, okay, which I did not invent, but I have been aware of this term. In fact, in my own wonderful screenwriting, of which I am a wonderful screenwriter, I'll say that, one of my screenplays, God is My Best Friend, there is a joking reference to the term I use the term in that script spiritual Negro, not magical Negro. I believe. I'm trying to remember which term I use, because to me they're kind of interlaced, or one could be used for the other, or whatnot. That was the character of Moses saying that to the character of Jude. It's a very funny script. If any film producers are watching this video, you should buy it from me, so then I don't have to worry about it. And I can go on with other wonderful scripts. In any event, let's get back to this movie. This movie has been getting panned and dismissed, and I don't understand why. Although I might speculate. Let me speculate on why people are not enjoying this movie. It could be I don't know. I mean, I think maybe it's just because the term, you do have to kind of be someone who has a certain amount of literary knowledge, or knowledge of these types of things, like these types of, because this is kind of like a literary commentary, this concept of the magical Negro. It's kind of like, I don't know who came up with it in the first place, but if you weren't familiar with the term, it might be offensive, or you might be confused, or why are they using the word Negro instead of, and even the character in the movie says that, black people, why? Well, I don't have all the goddamn answers, okay? You could say, why isn't the NAACP change their title of their acronym, their association? I don't have all the answers, folks. So, for me, this movie, I thought effectively deals with this topic. It might be hard to talk about, might be hard to laugh about. I thought it was good. I like David Alan Grier. I think of all the folks in Living Color, 30 years ago, I guess maybe 35, David Alan Grier, probably in my book, one of the most talented, and I don't think him and Tommy Davidson, I don't think they've had their, in my opinion, share of good fortune in this crazy world. I think those were two of the best guys on that show, and they were not Wayans, they were not Jim Carrey, they were not J-Lo, but I thought those two guys, Tommy and David Alan Grier, were both really awesome. So it's nice to see David Alan Grier with a very strong role in this movie. He kind of is our gateway into the world of the magical Negro society. And I don't know. I just thought that the whole thing was funny. I would say that against, the movie, perhaps the joke of it drags on a little bit more than it has to. Perhaps the movie is maybe 10 minutes longer than it needs to be. I don't know what specific 10 minutes I would cut out, but it could have been tightened a tad. Spoilers. We do have this kind of love triangle going on. The actor that kind of played the entitled white guy, he was recently on a show that I watched. I kind of, what's that term? When you watch a show all at once. God, I'm losing my mind. It's like binge watched the show, The Other Ones, about the two older kids of a famous Justin Bieber type pop sensation. Very funny show. Who's that SNL, Saturday Night Live actress that I like? Molly Shannon plays the mom. Very funny show. You should check that out. But actually, check out One Man in the Camera Films, my other YouTube channel first, where all my wonderful films are. Check that out before you check out this other bullshit. With my stuff, it's all available for free, okay? What else? I don't know. This is the type of movie I like. It's kind of, and I wonder if this movie in the future will get some love from people. Will they remember this movie fondly? Kind of in the tradition of the only other films I could think of like this off the top of my wonderful head, or my wonderful hat. I believe one was called I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, by, once again, Keenan Wayans. Keenan Ivan Wayans. I think that was his movie. I believe I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. That was it, I believe. And then that's the one where he's kind of playing himself, like, trying to make a movie in racist Hollywood in the mid 80s or late 80s. Then you had another one, film, that was kind of, oh God, I just had it. It was also, well, Soul Man, sort of. I mean, Soul Man was different. That's going back to the late 80s. But that tried. I mean, some people don't like that movie. I thought there was some merit to it. C. Thomas Howell plays a rich white guy who's graduating high school. I think he wants to go to Harvard. He's been accepted, but then his parents surprise him that they're not going to help him pay for it, and he has to pay for college on his own. So in order to get a scholarship for an African-American student, he takes a bunch of suntan lotions and pills and puts like a goop like in his head, in his hair, to kind of make like a Jerry curl type of presentation. And he goes off to college and he falls in love with Ray Dong Chong and has fights with a professor played by James Earl Jones. I thought that movie was funny. A lot of people don't. But I thought there was another movie that I was thinking of. I mean, I guess if you really want to stretch, but I think this is kind of going to another type of district as far as the cinema world. School Days, Spike Lee's third film. No, actually, it was, I think it was his second film. Spike Lee's second film. This first film, She's Gotta Have It, and I think School Days was his second movie. A little bit different, but parody, social commentary, race relations, all these wonderful topics. You know, topics that perhaps people are uncomfortable with. But to me, I mean, if you're going to see, you know, a few years ago during 2020 when all these horrible riots were happening, protests, you know, people were losing their businesses, getting hurt in the wake of the George Floyd death. You can call it a murder, you can call it a death, whatever you want to call it. All these riots, there was I believe, I want to say Netflix series on about the Los Angeles 1992 Rodney King trial, protests and riots and so forth, and just the similarities, unfortunately, from 1992 to 2020, how much has changed? Not much, it seems, except more people have smartphones now to tape things that happen, these atrocities. So I don't know. So I mean, these documentaries typically are well received. You know, people want to see this stuff. But when you go into the realm of comedy, and I don't think that this comedy or the other ones I aforementioned listed, I don't think any of them were trying to make light of these situations, but trying to present the topics with some levity, some insight, yes, God forbid, some humor, you know, trying to, because that's how people communicate. You communicate in different ways. You can have a documentary which shows, you know, actual footage. And even the documentaries a lot of times now have slants to them that the filmmakers go into making their documentary with some type of slant, some type of agenda. You can blame Michael Moore for that. He kind of started that. You know, a real documentary just gathers all the information and then makes the movie to document what is happening. But these days, a lot of documentaries are agenda-based, and that's fine. You know, some of them are very entertaining. But going back to this movie, to me, when you deal with these topics with humor, with levity, with characters, character development, relationships, I think it's good. I mean, I think that's the way to go. So I applaud a tip of the old baseball cap to whoever wrote this thing, directed this thing. The lead actor, the guy that played Aaron, I thought he was effective, meaning I thought he did well. As I was saying in my review a couple of days ago of the horror film, whatever it's called, The Prank, I didn't think the lead actor in that one was particularly effective. I thought the lead actor in this, Aaron, I don't think I've ever seen him before. Maybe I have, I don't remember. I thought he did well. I think he was likable enough. I thought that he was kind of a representation. I don't know if you'd call him a millennial or Generation Z or whatever the fuck, but like your typical 28 to 32-year-old male in America these days kind of has this awkward situation. You're being told all these different things, told to to be a good guy, told to be a bad boy, told to do all these goddamn things. You can't figure it out. The love triangle I thought was interesting. And, look, I am obviously not black myself. However, being kind of put in this position where you're supposed to be subservient or put your goals and interests and agendas secondary to someone else, I can relate to that. Perhaps you can too. If you've ever been a friend of someone who's very self-centered, if you've ever been the younger sibling of someone who's always doing things and you're always kind of in the shadow, or whatever the fuck. I think a lot of people could relate to this, of all ethnicities. The magical elements of this film I thought were kind of fun. Spoiler. I would say that I thought they kind of cheaped out a little bit. They might have saved on some production values, because a big gimmick in this movie, if you've seen it, is that the girl, of course there's always a girl, she ends up at, she has like this little girl fantasy, or this woman fantasy, of being romantic on the top of the Empire State Building. It's like a little inside moment that she and the character of Aaron share. The guy, Jason, the white guy, doesn't quite fit into that little inside thing. And then at the end of the movie, Aaron kind of magically takes her to this top of the Empire State Building. And then when he kind of gets stripped of his magical Negroes status, the other guy, David Allen Greer's character, tells him, hey, you left the girl behind. You left her not in Los Angeles, but at the top of the Empire State Building. So for me, it would have been more heroic at that point for our buddy, our lead guy, Aaron, to have to like go from Los Angeles, go get on a fucking plane, go through all the bullshit in New York City, hop in a cab or a Uber or whatever the fuck they have now, a Lyft, and get to the top of the Empire State Building, where our, damsel in distress is still damseling and distressing. I thought that would have been a more heroic situation for our guy there. And, I probably would have done that had I been in charge of this whole thing, which I wasn't. The way that the movie handled it is basically our girl there, very lovely actress. I never saw her before either, but she leaves a bunch of messages for the voicemail of Aaron, and she basically finds her way home. Like, she gets from the Empire State Building off the top into the building, gets herself a cab to the fucking airport, buys her own ticket home, and flies home to LA. Although we get a little bit of a button at the end, once again, spoiler, that she's got a little bit of magic herself. She's in So Swag. I believe it was Society of Supportive Wives and Girlfriends, which I thought was a nice touch, because it was a callback to early in the film, maybe within the first 10 or 15 minutes, or maybe a little bit later. She drops her purse, and this kind of ring falls out of her purse that has So Swag, and then her and Aaron have a big chuckle about it. And we just think it's some just gimmicky type of, goofy, early 2000s shopping mall piece of junk jewelry, but in fact, it's a real thing. And if you think about it, that's another type of character, the girlfriend, the wife. I was making commentary once again in one of my other film reviews that, Marcia Gay Harden and the lady that was in some other movie I just reviewed with the redheaded people. God, what movie was that? But some movie I saw where like the people had red hair. The woman was always in the 90s playing like the wife of the girlfriend or whatever. So the point is, I thought the movie was good. I think like if you have a certain level of, I don't want to say film education. I don't think you need to be educated formally. But if you've just heard this term, if you've experienced shows, I'm trying to think of other examples, but I think I gave you the best ones. I think the Bagger Vance one is really the most clean example of this thing. I think you could see what I'm saying. Now, I mean, you could look at the Flintstones, and they had a little gizmo guy. I'm trying to remember, who's the little fucker on the Flintstones? The late seasons, Gazoo or some horse shit. The little green guy, I mean, you could say, the Magical Society of Green Guys or the American Society of Magical Green Guys. But he was kind of a pain in the ass, too, if you remember the green fucker that was always above their shoulders. And there's other characters, obviously, in other movies that were not Negroes or black people, whatever you want to say here, magical. Other ethnicities have been represented by this phenomenon of the spiritual character, the magical friend. So what can I say? I mean, but to me, I did get the joke going into it. I did appreciate it. I thought it was funny. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're one of the millions of people that are hashtagging this movie into oblivion, saying what dog shit it is. I don't quite get it, folks. I mean, if we're going to have all these wonderful, I mean, maybe it's just my YouTube feed, but it's always some type of debate, some type of Candace Owens or Officer Tatum or Bill Maher. Everyone's got these goddamned opinions. Why can't we have a nice movie like this where instead of, the seriousness of it all, we kind of, enjoy these topics and explore them with some humor. I fucking liked it. So what the fuck? I'm trying to think what else. I did like the opening setup of the movie where our guy, Aaron there, goes to the ATM and he's leaving. And obviously this, drunken kind of, white female who's been clubbing, it appears. She seems like she's a little intoxicated. And she needs help with the ATM. And I thought that the actor playing Aaron and on the direction and everything of the scene setup, you got to know what he's going through. He's looking around because he doesn't really want to help this lady with the ATM. But at the same time, he's thinking, well, I'm just trying to help her. She's asking me for help. Would it be rude to say no? But at the same time, you can tell by his acting that he is leery of this situation because he really doesn't want to be holding this woman's ATM card or her purse or anything. And then these, white bar guys come out of the shadows and they think that he's robbing her and so forth. And that's when David Allen Greer's character comes in and saves them and off to the races we go. So I thought that was a good setup. The part early on when there's like the white cop guy with a problem who's he's depressed because he's not cool enough to go clubbing, and when he shows up to go to the club, he's like got a blue button-down shirt that's tucked into his pants like an asshole. And I thought it was good. That was kind of Aaron's first opportunity to kind of, pull the magic, loosen the guy up. I thought what he was going to do was kind of like unbutton the guy's top button on his shirt, or maybe like untuck his shirt or something just to jazz him up. But instead they kind of did the thing where Aaron possesses the bouncer's mind for a moment. I thought all this stuff was pretty good. I mean, like I said, I really don't understand. I mean, of all the to me, this is one thing, folks. I pretty much am pretty forgiving of these films. I'm kind of an easy mark to like a film, but I do see once in a while a movie's getting crucified. Madam Web just a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, was getting crucified, and I went to see it, and I thought it was fine. I thought it was like, hey, this is better than most of these comic book fucking movies. So I don't understand why certain films get shat all over, okay, like a Vince McMahon secretary, and some films don't. So I don't understand or comprehend why this American Society of Magical Negroes is getting crucified or harpooned or run through the muck. I mean, to me, it's comedic. It got a heart. It's taking on some tough topics in a different way. And I just don't understand the hate for this movie. Okay, so there you go. Was it a perfect movie? No. But what is? And like I said, I thought it was funny. I did see kind of early on when the society is explaining itself, and like there's the little visage. It kind of felt like I was in Disney's Haunted Mansion where they're showing like these, flashback type of stuff. And the billiards one was pretty good. And then the second one, I took that. It felt to me like a riff off of The Green Mile when like the police, like the prison security guy is walking the black guy, very big guy in overalls or whatever the fuck he was wearing, to like seemingly the death row, like walking him to the electric chair. I felt like that was a kind of a rip-off or a parody or a homage to The Green Mile. I could be wrong. But like the recurring joke of the black guy touching the groin of the white guy in peril, so the white guy could go and satisfy his wife. I mean, to me, this is funny shit, okay? I mean, that kind of, I thought of like The Green Mile where Coffee had like the power in his fingertips or whatever. I don't know. I saw the humor in all this stuff. I mean, maybe you have to be able to kind of put all these different literary and film references together, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe everyone's just more advanced than fucking me and seeing the horse shit that this movie is, and I'm just seeing it as being gleams of genius or seeds. But whatever the fuck. I liked it. I thought it was a good social commentary. If you didn't like it, you're welcome to leave a goddamn comment. You can say, well, gee whiz, Mike, fuck. And I'll say, okay, asshole, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll probably give you a fucking link to one of my movies, because that's typically what I do, in case you haven't caught on by now. Whenever anyone leaves a goddamn comment on one of my videos, typically I see that as an opportunity to, guess what, cross-reference your ass to one of my other YouTube channels or one of my other wonderful works, where I'll just basically read your goddamn comment. I'll give you some little fucking line like, oh, good point, asshole number 6. By the way, you should check out my movie. And then I'll give you a link to one of my films over on One Man and a Camera Films. Or if you make some other comment, I say, well, this person seems like a pro wrestling fan. I'll leave you a little comment with a link to one of my wonderful videos on One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan YouTube channel. If you seem like someone that might like wonderful acrylic art, okay, like I've been working on today, I might give you a nice reference to the new channel, One Artist Mike Messier. What else might I do? I might do a lot of things, okay? So you make your comment, but if you've gotten this far into this review, your comment is going to be rewarded with a personalized link just for you. I don't have these goddamn comment responses canned like I could do with TubeBuddy, okay? I specifically sit there and write a personalized response to your ass where I try to hook you in and go to another fucking video on one of my several YouTube channels. That's the magic that I play. Okay, folks, so that's it. I give David Allen Greer a thumb up. I give the guy playing Aaron a thumb up. The chick playing the chick, I give her 2 thumbs up. The guy playing the enlightened white guy, I thought he was fine. I did like his work in that show. The other two, and I enjoyed this movie. So screw me. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. All you 75% of the people that hate this movie, you're all smart and fucking geniuses, and I don't know what I'm talking about. MikeMessier.com. Go to the website, scroll to the bottom, follow me on social media, and buy